How are you, Luiza?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, I'm a little tired now because it's 11 p.m. almost. There is 9, right?
Yeah, almost.
Yeah, yeah, almost 9, 3 minutes till 9. So we won't keep you too long.
No, no, no problem. And how are you too? Are you living together now?
I'm here visiting. I'm here visiting, yes.
Nice.
Yeah, he's just here visiting. You look fresh and glowing, Luisa. You look beautiful.
You think so? Thank you.
Yeah, you do. You do. It
Yeah.
doesn't look like tired or anything. So yeah. How's your day?
Was good. Practice a lot of things. Was with nature in the morning after I um, got my daughter in the school. I went to nature and ran a little bit, but just a little, not too much. I like to run more, but like my body sometimes doesn't want to run.
Hmm.
Like I want him to run, you know. But that's okay. I'm just like starting, right? So that's okay. And yeah, I went to more walking,
Hmm.
and
That's nice.
Yeah.
yeah, I did the qigong with Jerome, and was very special practice. Yeah,
What was
I
special
was
about it today?
what?
What was special about it today?
What was special today? The energy was different, I think. I mean, I was more in the morning and afternoon. Through the day, I was more lighter, not not obsessed with food like I run. My cats got scared here.
It's okay. That happens to me all the time.
Test, with foods, and in this time of the month that's near my cycle, I'm a little obsessed with food, and everything
Mm.
is food for me.
Yeah, I know that. I know how
Yeah,
that feels.
yeah, but this day especially, I wasn't obsessed with food. It was more like peaceful day, and yeah, I was more like in my energy, in my own energy. And Qigong, of course, helps a lot, and meditation. And of course, being with nature also is very special. And I was very grateful also because I'm in a big city, but I have a park near, right, that I can go with nature. And yeah, I don't know what to talk about.
How is Isabella?
Ah, Isabella is good. Yeah, yeah, very good. She's very special child.
That's nice. You look like it.
Yeah,
I see
she's
the picture that.
very loving,
Mm.
very loving. And yeah, she doesn't give um, n- no problem, not problems at all, only blessings.
Oh,
And yeah, she's very special. Yeah.
I love that. So, Luisa, one question. When you say that you go to nature, you go seek like running, when you do these activities, what makes you want to do it?
Oh, you mean run and
Yeah, the
walk?
running, going in nature, like seeking these kind of activities and meditation, the qigong, all of that. What is it that's draw you to it? Like, what is it that's telling you, like, okay, let me do this, let me run, let me go in nature? What is it inside of you that is craving for those kind of activities?
Oh. Yeah, I just these days I just am more wanting to connect with nature, wanting to see like trees and the beauty, and like change a little bit of my apartment.
Yeah.
Because like I'm more these days, this week, I'm more like how do I say it? Like socially not interacting too much, you know. And I remember that I told you that I'm not afraid of anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was very afraid these days of social interaction. You know? Yeah, even like putting my face on the internet or something like that. Didn't want to do that things, you know. I just wanted to be more reserved, and not today. Today it's different, but these days I was more with not a panic, but like not knowing how to interact with people, and that's very strange for me, you know. I'm a reserved person normally, but I'm usually very social. I don't have problems like dealing with people. Maybe because I went to a party and was a lot of people, and yeah, that can be very draining, right? Yeah, yeah. And these days I was more like afraid of people. Yeah.
I think that's okay to have days like that where you just want to isolate yourself and be by yourself.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's okay. But normally I don't have that, you know. I'm not afraid of interactions or some. I'm not very reserved person, but I'm not afraid, you know. I don't have like too many. Um, I'm not afraid of anything, like I said to you. But this time was like I felt in the body, you know, like you felt in the body that. Um, the that you are afraid of something.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this strange thing in the body. Yeah,
That's what they call anxiety.
yeah. What?
Yeah. I was just wondering if that's what people call anxiety.
Yeah, it can be.
Mm.
It can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're feeling it and you're, feeling and going through it. Sometimes it just comes like subconscious and we don't know what's happening and we're confused. But when you sit with it and analyze it, I think, you can get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah. It can happen, right? It can happen that not all days are the social days, and not all days are reserved days also, but I was more like inside myself. My husband is traveling, so maybe it's also because of that.
Oh,
I'm seeing like my daughter and some people, like few people, and then yeah,
hmm.
can be like difficult to interact also. Um, when you are more in the head, right?
Mhm.
When you are more in your own energy.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
I resonate.
yeah,
Yeah. Thank you for
and
sharing.
yeah,
Thank you for sharing. You want to ask a question?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's interesting because Nabiha, as she was just letting you know about sitting down and analyzing things. She's actually been teaching me a lot lately about analyzation. And like analysis, you know, because there have been times where I get into like information constipation up here and like analysis paralysis. But analysis is actually one of Nabiha's superpowers. You know, like observation, being able to just sit and observe and to just critically analyze something and break it down, you know, bit by bit, piece by piece. I'm really understanding just being in close proximity. Nabiha is a wizard, you know, when it comes to this. She really does. She sees the magic even in the mundane, like even the things that we overlook, the things that we just kind of look past and glaze over and we just skip through. We don't see it. Nabiha sees it, you know, she sees it. So
I don't know what you mean.
she knows what I mean. So it's been awesome. And also, you know, just the other day we were out in the park. I think it was called Silverwood Park or someplace. We met Isaiah, for instance. Isaiah, he goes by the Breast Messiah, and he was teaching us some fascia maneuvers. You know how Haruka is always talking about the fascia, and she's in Human Garage and stuff. So he's with the same troop of people, with these Human Garage people that do a lot with the fascia, and it works with the body. And whatever you work with the body, you're also working with the mind. You know, so if you're freeing the body, you're freeing the mind. If you feel, you know, So it was all around. It was nice. He walked us through some maneuvers. It was actually, some of them were challenging, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was
the squat.
the squat. We were turning, we were twisting one way, Luiza. We would twist all the way one way, and then we would turn the other way. So we were just completely opposite, like squeezing your body in different directions. So it was very interesting. I had never done anything quite like that before, but it was nice.
Yeah, I love it.
Wow. That must be quite a great experience.
Yeah, that was nice. Yeah, just walking in the park was just nice.
Yeah.
You know, the reason why I was asking you the question of like, what is it inside of you that's telling you like go to nature, or go and run, or go and sit and meditate? What is it that's making you? For me, if I would just want to go out and walk, that's a meal to me.
That's what?
That's food. Like when someone craves like some type of food, people crave different foods, right? I crave kind of like different activities, different sceneries, different things. So when I walk in nature, for example, hearing the birds, hearing, you know, the leaves and, you know, the nature, that gives me some kind of charge.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And then when I go to gym and run or something like that, that also gives me some type of charge. So I will think about those things the same way people will think about food, because that's how I create energy. So the reason why I was asking you was like, okay, maybe you are seeking within like the true nourishment, you know, like since you're not thinking about food now, you said, you know, your other food, the real food is that nature, is that running, is that sitting in meditation, is that qigong. So you're craving that because that's your food. So that's why I was asking you, you know, do you feel satisfied? Do you feel energized every time you do those kind of activities?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I do feel more like just being in nature, it's very nourishing, right? Just like seeing trees and hearing the birds and just hearing the sounds of nature and the lake and the water, and the light and the sun. I mean, everything is nourishing in that, right? Running is more like an activity that I want to do, you know, but maybe my body is not ready yet for what I want to run, you know. Yeah.
But if you already imagined it and you want it, it would happen when it's time. Everything with divine timing, yeah.
Divine timing for sure. Oh, go ahead, Luis.
No, go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, you know, it's interesting. You were talking about the sun, and today we went to a place called Quarry Park, and we were just walking, and you know, we were thinking of like, you know, speaking a message, speaking you know, a word to uplift, to empower, or to just, you know, spread something good. But at the moment, we kind of felt like, you know, the energy was kind of dipping a little bit. So Nabiha looked over yonder, and she seen a nice big old rock, and it was kind of like the mossy stuff on the rock, you know. It was nice, and we saw it like off in the distance. She spotted it first, and so she was like, "You want to go lay on that?" You know. And so we walked over to the rock, and sure enough, right in front of the rock, we didn't even see it. But once we got closer, we saw a whole nice little. It was like a body of water, yeah, right in front of the rock. It was beautiful. You know?
Some fish moving around.
Yeah, the fishes were moving in there. They were jumping in the, you know. So then we just laid out on the rock. We laid a blanket underneath the sunlight, and the clouds were passing. We just laid down there. Maybe after 15 minutes or so, you know, 20 minutes, we felt recharged. You know, we got back up and we started walking. Yeah.
Actually, yeah. During our meditation today, we were talking about how this planet is magical. You know the blue avatars when they go into this, you know, nature, you see all of it. Yeah, it's like we want to see that because it's like, oh my God, that's magical, but we don't think about that. If you just go in nature today, that's magical. Like observing the little ants, you know, listening to the crickets, hearing the birds, the wind, all of that is magical. This planet is musical. So, yeah, it's just like we have to be aware of it and sit in it. But it is magical. You saw the ants that I was observing.
Yeah.
Like, what are they doing? Like those small little red, you know, little things. I'm like, what are they doing? But it's a whole life going on that little rock.
Right.
You know, you look at a leaf and there's a whole life going on in that. It doesn't mean that that's not a life because of they're tiny. You know, we are that tiny to something else that's huge. So life on so many different levels. If we are awake to it, we can see it, and then you can hear the magic. You can smell the flowers, you can smell the trees and the dirt and everything. And that's true nourishment. To me, it's true nourishment, yeah.
Yeah, I can see now why it's easier to be pranic when in nature, right?
Much easier.
It is much easier, yeah. But we talked about that as well today with Matrix and
Yeah, we did.
yeah, it is easier to be in nature, you know, and not be in the distraction of the city and the buildings and people, because everything in the city is somehow disconnected, you know. So being in that kind of environment can be a little challenging, but at the same time, I think we should master it.
It's good training. Yeah.
Like you live in the city, you're in the middle of the city, right? And then you try to ground yourself every day. That's a strength. You know, you have one foot in the matrix and you're trying to balance with your spiritual world. So that's a strength, and that's how it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to just, you know, neglect the whole thing and then go into the forest and just live there. I wish we all could do that, you know, and this whole world was like more like natural. But since we have the matrix and we have the mind to create that part, we have to learn how to live in it also.
Yeah, and Luiza, you're not only in the city, you're pretty high up. You know, you're on the like what 21st floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So she's not only in the city, she's like up in a high rise. You know, so she's like that's even more training. You know, that's even more impressive. For you to be grounded and you're so high up, that's even more impressive. You know.
Yeah. Not only the height, but every energy in the building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every person and the energy in that building, you know, because you can sense it. And if you can keep yourself grounded while you are surrounded by all these disaligned energies, you are really powerful. You know, you can do anything. You can do anything.
I don't know if I could.
Yes, you can. You're already doing it.
You're doing it right now.
Yeah, you're doing it already. You are. You know, the most valuable thing or powerful thing you can do is to wake up to yourself. And waking up to yourself, like, you know, it's harder for someone that's in the city with all the distractions. So in the midst of all the distractions, you woke up to yourself. You know, while other people maybe have like advantage of like being trained in early age, maybe living in the country, maybe living in the, maybe their parents were, you know, wake, or like it's different people, right? But for you to wake up in the city and realize like they're inward, this is in, you have to go in here while you have all of these distractions. That's a really strong calling and a strength to maintain that. So you're already doing it, Luiza.
No,
Absolutely.
you.
You are.
Yeah. Yeah. Ellie Tom started in the city. You know, Ellie Tom, he started his journey in Akron, Ohio, you know, around his, you know, family members, around all the pollution, all the noise, all the, you know, all the energy, yeah, of Akron, Ohio. That's where he started. Before he even traveled to like all those other places, he started letting go little by little and, you know, learning about energy and all that stuff right there in Ohio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's going to build strength
Mhm.
because you're in the midst of the program,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can do it here, you can do it anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
To live our lives is to build strength, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's different, you know. We all have different stories, you know, how we woke up, where we woke up, what we woke up to, you know, how we live, what we lived through, you know, all of that, like our past. It's different, but it's all unique, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I was going to say also with consumptions, like when my consumption is more lighter, I can feel like lighter my being, you know. So when it's heavier, I can feel it's my mind is heavier and everything is heavier.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. This can be very disturbing also, you know, because yeah, sometimes it's too much and sometimes yeah, it's nothing. Sometimes it's like I have to balance. Yeah.
Yeah. But, you know, they say, what is it? Our digestive system is our first brain, or was it like that?
Yeah,
The guts,
the
our
gut.
guts is
The
our
gut.
it's our brain.
Yeah, it's one of the brains in the
Yeah.
body.
The first brain is here. So if you stuff it, you become heavy. You can't think straight. Everything becomes like, oh, I can't do this. I don't want to do this. So that's why you feel like when you're lighter, it's more like joyful. You're more joyful. You want to do more things in life, and you see life in a more like a, what do you say? How do you say that? Like when you see like in a lighter version.
Lighter version, it's like you see
In a,
in a brighter way, like
yeah, in a brighter way.
yeah, yeah. You see the silver lining. You have more gut guidance, more gut instincts, more gut intuition. You know, the gut governs a lot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It
So
does.
like somebody, you ever heard somebody say like, I don't know, I just had a feeling in my gut. You know, it's just in my gut.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, when you're lighter, it's a lighter perspective. You know, it's
Right.
lighter.
Exactly. It's a lighter perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. But it makes sense too because I mean, you just stuffed yourself. It's the same thing like when you drink or when you are like intoxicated with drugs or something like that. You don't see the reality the same way. It changes. So it's the same thing when we eat something. It really changes our reality. We are like I don't think we can make decisions as easy as when we are empty. You know, we are kind of like interrupted or affected. We get affected by the ingredients that goes inside of us, kind of. I don't know. My English is like backwards right now, but
No, you got it.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
The contents of it, the ingredients.
yeah. That would make you do the things that you're doing, and you get blind to certain things. You know how when you have been fasting for a while, things disappear. Like everything just like, you realize different things. You feel lighter and you're like, oh my God, this is, you get more realizations. But when you're stuffed, it's kind of like you are intoxicated and you're like a drunk person is walking through and you don't even remember the road. It's the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like when I used to roller skate, back in the day when I used to roller skate years ago, um, I used to feel comfortable because I was at this roller skating rink in Austin, Texas, and it was called Austin Roller Rink, and it was BYOB. Like they actually had, yeah, it was adult skate night on every Wednesday. I would go once a week, and it was BYOB. So people brought their own, beer, brought their own beverages. I wasn't drinking beer, but there was this thing. I think it was like Mike's Harder or something like that. It was like malt liquor. This was back when I was drinking, and I would do it so often that I was very unconscious, and I was doing it to like. I guess that's what I thought that I needed to do to have a good time, So I would sip on, this. I would just chug this drink real quick, and then I would go off on the skating floor. But the thing was, I wasn't really aware, even though I was doing all these moves and thought I looked cool and everything. If somebody fell down in front of me, I wasn't really worried about them. I was just kind of skating around them, skating past them. It wasn't really, it didn't enter my awareness. I was all in myself. I was just in my own world and just kind of, skating, not really worrying about anybody. But when I finally just started to, it took a lot of courage for me to stop drinking because those two habits had been linked together. Like this activity was linked to that activity. And I thought in order to have a good time roller skating, I needed to be tipsy. I needed to have a drink or two. So when I finally let go, it was uncomfortable at first. At first it was like, oh man, this is kind of boring. The dopamine high of skating while you're tipsy wasn't really there. So I had to get used to the feeling of, being high on my own supply, being high on my own energy, having that confidence of being able to do the activity without the stimulant, governing my body. And then I started to notice people around me. I could help up that person who just fell in front of me. I could talk to that person with more confidence with my own energy instead of something, else that was external from me. And then I could teach that person that wanted to learn that move, and I could inspire somebody else. And it's like, there's so many things that I noticed because I wasn't inebriated, I wasn't intoxicated. Mm-hmm. So these things came into my field of awareness when I let go of that thing that had kind of held sway over me for so long. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's the same thing with food, We it kind of limits our vision, and we don't see what's around us. I see Haruka said that's why it's hard for me to make decisions. Yeah, maybe it's not just decisions, but it's just you increase your awareness by eliminating things that limits your vision and your consciousness basically. So you're less conscious when you're stuffed.
Yeah.
It's all logical to me, because if I just feel myself right now, there is no way I'll focus on like this person falling there or there. It's just like you just get blind because you're dealing with that. Your body is dealing with it, and then the energy of your body, everything just changes. So it is kind of like a drug, but yeah.
I seek prayer and protection, blessings. Even
Yeah. It's interesting, It's very interesting because people just don't see or they don't put those things together, And when you stuff yourself, reality gets narrowed and like you can't see.
Oh, it's not on. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
done.
just keep it. Oh, this one is done.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's low. The charge is low.
our charger is low.
Let me put this. Hold on. I got it. I got an idea. I'll be right back.
Yes, the founder of facial maneuvers often says food is the number one drug. Yeah, it is. It really is. Um, it really is. But at the same time, I always say it's not the drug is not the problem. The problem is the mind that's hooked to the drug. The addiction is in the mind, not in the substance. Yeah. The addiction is in the mind and not in the substance itself. So instead of like focusing on the food and saying the food is bad and I don't want this food and fighting with the food, it's best to just analyze your own feelings and um, to analyze the feelings and just deal with it instead, and then train the mind to always deal with the feelings of the feeling that wants food, the feelings of lack, the feelings that, oh, I'm bored, let me just put something in my mouth. Where is this coming from, right? What is it that I can do instead of like putting a donut in your mouth, like analyze it. Why do I want to do this, right? So those kind of things would help you understand that the food is not the problem, but the mind is the problem.
Right.
And we talked about this before, connection and consumption.
Right. Yeah, you talk about that so beautifully.
What did you say? I thought it's more the body that's attached to food.
It can be either or sometimes.
I mean, every cell is a brain.
Mm-hmm.
Like every cell in your body is like a brain. So when I say the brain, I don't just mean here.
Yeah. The mind is attached to food, not the body, right?
Yeah. So just thinking like, the brain cells sending to every cell, like you remember things, your body.
Yeah.
So
it holds a lot of memory. Like, there were times where I always would eat in the late evening, when the moon was up and the sun was down, and just eating, late evening. And that was, for me, looking back, it was like my sedative. I was putting myself to sleep with the food. And it felt like the memory of just having my stomach full, bloated and distended, and just like feeling like, that was, and then just going to sleep on a full stomach. I had done that so many times that it felt necessary for me to go to sleep, like thinking that it was wrong to go to sleep on an empty stomach.
Wow.
And when I remember being with Ellie Tom, and Ellie Tom told us, a lot of problems would be solved if we went to bed hungry. Like if you went to sleep on an empty stomach. And that boggled my mind when I heard that. I was like, go to sleep hungry, go to bed hungry. Like he was like, yeah, you would solve a lot of problems if you go to sleep hungry. And I was like, huh? It was so backwards to me. I was like, well, I thought you were supposed to,
Be full.
Yeah, be full, but it was reverse. It was like be empty, empty.
Yeah.
When you're full, it's like you're drunk. That's why you fall asleep.
Yeah, I was unconscious.
Knocked out.
Yeah.
Blackout, yeah, that's why.
And I didn't even dream. Like, even if I did dream, I wasn't conscious of the dream. So when I woke up, it felt like time just elapsed and that I wasn't lucid. Versus the times where, I would be without anything in my stomach, anything in my gut. That intuition, all of that stuff is clear. So my mind was clear, my conscious was clear, and when I'm in the astral realm, everything is lucid, everything is vivid, and I can recall it when I awake, So I remember, being around people who would protest to me and say that they don't dream, but a lot of those people that say they don't dream were people that do things in the evening, like they're consuming something in the evening, and, Yeah.
I never actually put those things together.
Yeah.
It makes sense because you blacked out.
Yeah.
What are you gonna remember?
Done.
Knocked out. You know, when you collapse, you don't remember. Yeah. Yeah. When we don't eat so much, we we don't even sleep so much. We sleep light. We rest. We don't collapse, kind of. So you get in the resting mode. And in the resting mode, you can tap into another dimension, which is the dream, another dream. From this dream to another dream. Yeah.
You never collapse?
Me? Oh, yeah, I collapse.
You've collapsed.
Yeah, I collapse.
Yeah.
I collapse. I just don't collapse for many hours.
Right.
But I do collapse every time I sleep.
It's a different collapsing. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can allow myself collapse an hour here and there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's something I need to train. Yeah, Daniel, you laughing. You know I collapse.
Oh, man. Haruka is saying, is it also a habit, the need to feel full, especially before sleeping? Yeah, there's a lot of things that, unconscious patterns. You know, I was listening to one of Ellie Tom's talks just a little while ago, and just sometimes I go back and I listen to his conversations, his talks, and it helps me. Same like how you listen to Krishnamurti. I listen to Ellie Tom, and there was one thing he was saying about, I guess it was a Russian scientist or somebody back in the 1800s that did some kind of a CAT scan or some kind of a study of the mind, and what we find when right before we take an action, supposedly they found that this person found that the mind and the brain, some area lights up right before the action occurs. So right before we become aware or conscious of the action that we're about to take, like right before I become aware of picking up this pen or just doing anything, the action has already taken place in the mind. So it's already occurred like milliseconds before we do something. Yeah, I love it. I love it. Luiza's like, because she knows about psychology, she's she knows about the mind. So it's like if the action has already taken place before we carry it out, this is why that unconscious programming, that subconscious mind is so crucial that we reprogram that. Yeah. Because we're doing things automatically, we don't know it, like we're almost living the same day over and over again, like Groundhog Day.
Yeah.
Until we make that micro adjustment, we make a new change, we have a new experience, we walk a different way than we did the other day, we make a different choice than we did the other day, and slowly but surely we start to ingrain these neural networks and patterns, and then what used to be automatic is now no longer. Yeah.
We're on autopilot 95%.
Yeah, for sure.
5% is the conscious mind. The rest is like automated.
Subconscious programming.
Yeah. What we do, the things that we do, say, and all of that is just automated, basically. So yeah, as Louise, who was it? I think it was Haruka was saying something about habits. It went up there.
Let me see. What she was just saying, that habit, the need to feel full before sleeping. That habit, yeah.
Yeah, some people have what is it, cookies and milk before they go to sleep because they just want to feel the fullness to go to sleep. It's some type of fullness they need to feel. But I believe every time you want to feel full, it's like some kind of lack that you're feeling, and you want to fill it. But then you want to fill it with whatever you think is going to help, and it's food. Because that's the only legal drug that is not considered as a drug that you can go to that will numb you, but it's something else. You're lacking something else that you need to look into. So it's always something else than the food. So
it's like filling the empty space. If you it's an interesting practice if you're on a live with someone, Luiza, or if you're just in conversation with someone. I don't know how it is in Brazil, but just be silent and see how long it takes for the other person to fill the empty space. There's an urge for people to fill the empty space. I think they said in Japan is probably one of the longest pauses or the longest duration periods is Japanese. Like people in Japan, they're very comfortable with silence. So they can pause for 8 seconds versus, here in the US and America, maybe, 2 or 3 seconds at the most, like in a lull in conversation, if it gets past, 3 or 4 seconds, they're feeling very nervous energy. They're very anxious, to carry on the conversation or maybe, to try and exit, like to try and find a way to, like, so what's going on, so it's a really good exercise to see how comfortable someone is with silence, how comfortable someone is with that empty space when no one is talking, when no one is speaking. Just be silent and just see how the other person reacts. And you'll kind of notice how we crave to fill an empty void. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. That's human behavior.
Yeah, I wanted to ask something, but I wanted to wait the silence also.
Yeah.
Where do you get that information? I mean, that's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, see, even Haruka is saying she's confirming, yes, pause is comfortable in Japan. Yeah, very comfortable.
Ooh, I need to learn the technique in Japan then.
Is that some kind of book?
If it's a book about that?
Yeah.
Could be.
No.
I don't know if it's a book, but I just know I remember reading somewhere that, like Haruka is saying, they're very comfortable with a pause in a conversation. They don't have to immediately jump and say something, or they're not trying to interrupt the other person, or like they're very comfortable, waiting. If there's a lull in conversation, they're not anxious about, saying something. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good strategy actually. Because I always think about it. Because I have that problem where I feel like I need to fill. When it's silence, I'm like, oh my God, I need to feel that. So I need to maybe practice that.
Yeah.
8 seconds.
Yeah.
Make them quiet. Let's go to the next word.
Right. You want to try it? All right, let's try it. You see?
He said the book is in Japan. We have to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. If you go to Japan and live with the people, you will see.
8 seconds in the US, you will never be allowed to speak.
Yeah.
If you're on the phone and you're silent for 8 seconds, you hang up.
Yeah, 8 seconds. They're looking at their watch. They're like, wait a minute. I got places to go.
Let me go out of this life.
Yeah. 8 seconds is way too much for most people. Yeah, most people cannot handle an 8-second pause in conversation.
Does that mean like we're always on a rush? We're always like rushing. We're always on a go.
Yeah, but it's normalized, so you don't really perceive it. Like some of the most patient people that I've been around have been like those monks, those nuns, and also there was an Amish lady that I was riding a train. There was a period of my life where I was taking trains. I wasn't taking planes. I was riding trains, and you meet the most interesting people on the train. And there was an Amish family, and they don't fly planes or do most of the stuff that we do. And they still have horse and buggy. They still have horses and stuff out the pasture and the farmstead and whatnot. So these Amish folk, like when you ask them a question, they really took their time. I mean, this lady, she really paused and really just patiently gave a thoughtful answer. And I had not been in someone's presence like that very often where, okay, you see it?
Yeah.
We're back. Okay. So yeah, it was just interesting to me how she was not in a hurry to to rush to say anything or to do anything. The pace was very slow. You know, kind of like when I went to Costa Rica, you know, that pura vida pace of Costa Rica, they weren't really in a rush to get anywhere, to do anything, to be anyone. It was very different from America, you know. It was like, take it easy, you know, just relax. Like, we'll get there, you know.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be. That's
Yeah.
when, let's say, like if you have like a long meditation and you just came out of that state of, and you are in that meditative state, and someone asks you a question, you take your time to answer. You're more like calm, or you don't rush into it. So I think maybe they live in that meditative state more than what we do because we are in this world that's rushing everywhere. That's a lot of distraction.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now I want to practice that. From now on, I'm going to talk like I'll take 10 minutes before I say the next
10
thing.
minutes? Oh, man. Oh, man. So just try it though. Try it, you know, like I'm so surprised every time that I'm talking with somebody. Like after they're done talking, if I just take a pause and just wait a little bit more, usually they have something else to say. There's something more, you know. But if I rush in and just say something immediately, so that's a training for me. That's practice for me. I'm still working on this. So just like, you know, we feel compelled to fill our bodies, you know, maybe compelled to feel what we feel is a void in our vessel, you know, compelled to fill that void. We do the same thing with silence. We do the same thing in conversation. We're filling the space. We're filling the void. We're not comfortable with that emptiness.
Yeah. It's just that we're rushing. We can't stay in the moment. We go. We want to go to the next moment. Yeah. We're rushing all the time. Luisa, we can try now next live, the 8 second rule.
I love silence, you know, like sometimes I can see that some people don't tolerate silence. You know?
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah. Like my husband, he wants me always to talk, you know. He's not comfortable with the silence, and I'm like I'm very silent with him, and but he is not comfortable, you know. So sometimes I don't want to make him uncomfortable, and yeah, that can happen sometimes. That's filling the void, right? Like you said. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I never thought about someone feeling uncomfortable or someone else being silent.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, a lot of people, I mean, are uncomfortable with the silence, right?
Because when I'm like with people that, let's say like when I'm with my family or some people that I cannot, the only time I actually talk a lot is when I have something in common with the person and I know they understand. And then I can just talk about everything that I speculate on my own. But when I'm with other people that I know are not on the same conscious level, and whatever I say won't even go in, I don't want to waste my words, I automatically just become very silent. So I just keep a book with me all the time. So it can be a crowded room and I'll be on the corner just reading. And sometimes I felt like, you know, people ask me, are you okay? Or are you a student? You know, do you go to school still or something like that? But to me, it's more like, okay, I don't have anything to say. I don't have anything to say to them. But then when I'm coming to these groups and Telegram, I'm like, oh, talking. I have to drink water even too. talk more. But
Yeah.
yeah, silence is a good thing.
Yeah, silent snack. You know, it's like it can be nourishing. You're having a silent snack.
It really is nourishing.
Yeah. Look, look at what Haruka says. You see Haruka?
We eat a lot, talk about a lot. Oh wow! I don't eat so much, but I do talk a lot.
But that's her observation of people that she
Yeah.
sees that when they eat a lot, they talk a lot. I remember, you know, driving for Lyft. You know, I was a Uber driver for quite some time. Took a whole bunch of passengers, and one of the things that I would do is, you know, especially during the time when everybody had on their masks and everybody was on their phones and everybody was just kind of not really, you know, they were kind of tuned out and tuned into their devices. I would always leave it up to the passenger. You know, if they wanted to have a conversation, we'd have a conversation. But if they wanted relaxation, then I'd just leave them be. You know, so if they weren't talking, you know, when they came in the car, then, you know, I just like I wouldn't bother them. You know, and there were people that would actually tip me. They would tip me more because I gave them a silent ride. You know, that I didn't pressure them to speak or to say anything. That I just took them to their destination from point A to point B without saying anything. There were a lot of people that were actually gracious for that. You know, that's just that peaceful passage. Yeah.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I was a professional passenger for a few years,
Mm.
so I was riding Uber a lot.
Mm.
So when they give me that silence, I'm like, oh, I would tip them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
because you know, when I'm sitting in the car and maybe like getting to work or getting somewhere, I want to be on my phone or like, you know, do the things that I'm supposed to do. But then now I have to entertain this stranger that's just taking me to my place, and yeah, it can be a little burden, you know. So when they keep the silence, I'm like, oh, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you.
You're like, I could just be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like, thank you. But where you from? Where you going here and there? I'm like, I'm gonna leave this car and we'll never see each other. Why are you asking all these questions?
Oh man.
It's like, why? But if they talk about themselves and tell me some stories, something like that, I find that interesting. But just to start a conversation with me and ask me questions, yeah, sometimes it felt like I don't feel like it.
Like forced pleasantries, forced just small talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how I felt like. Yeah, I had some deaf drivers also.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was silent.
There was what?
Deaf driver.
Yeah, she had a hearing impaired drivers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that was silence. I was like, oh, this lady, she's not even talking. That's good. But yeah.
Another language.
Right. Right.
Silence is a loud language.
Mm.
It's louder than words. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah, it can be scary for some people. Yeah.
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 Can be like a lot of projections that the person doesn't know where it came, like projecting all the things on the side of the conversation, and then that's why they don't tolerate the silence, right?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, if someone was just silent, I would be happy. Fine.
Yeah. Yeah. For some people, it can even be intimidating, you know, because they're like, oh, I want to know what you're thinking. You know, like, what are you thinking? What's on your mind? Like, when you're not talking, when you're not speaking, you know, you're like, you know.
like they could read your mind when you were speaking.
Right. You know, but like for some people, there's a sense of safety when you're talking. Like, I remember there were a couple rides, not many, but there were a couple Lyft rides where it was uncomfortable for the person to have silence. They were the opposite. So they were the type of person that when I wasn't talking and they expected me to talk just because I'm a driver, you know, they were, you know, like, oh, what's going on? You know, they kind of were like, was this guy? I remember he said no taco burrito. He was trying to joke. He was like no taco burrito. He was like you're not talking. I was like, oh, okay. How's your day been? You know, how's your day going?
Oh,
You know, and so then he perked up, and then he had so much to get off of his chest, but he was waiting for the invitation. So it really just depends on the person. You know, some people they're comfortable when there's noise or when there's a lot of engagement, and some people are the opposite. They like just silence is okay.
silence. Yeah. And you breathe better when you're silent. That's what I feel like. Because every time I think about silence, I'm like, deep breath. Yeah, deep breath. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes we want to feel the silence.
Yeah.
Feel and feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've even seen you, Luisa, when you go upside down, when you do your upside down transmissions, when you're upside down and you have your hands and you're like, the silence. Listen to the peace and the silence, right? You're upside down and we're just seeing you. We're like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I love it. I love it. It's just so authentic.
I love it. Yes. Yeah.
But you can tell that you're feeling it, you're really in the moment. You can feel the energy through the screen, through the phone you transmit.
Like just smile.
Yeah, that smile.
Just smile.
Yeah.
Everything is okay. Just smile.
Yeah.
Your messages are beautiful. Yeah, they come from a real place. Not fabricated or like, okay, I have a message, it's like, okay, this is what I realized. Peace. I love it. I love it.
It's funny how people perceive us, right?
We observe each other.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not always in that state, of course.
We're human,
Right.
You're human. So, reflection.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, reflection. And as long as we can fluctuate, we're good. Nobody's is a unicorn that can just keep on, like, you can't just do one. Yeah.
Oh, my heart's a unicorn.
Yeah, nobody is, everybody is the same. We're just doing different things, really. So whatever works for you, works for you. Whatever works for me, works for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Okay, Luisa, let us not keep you up for the night. What time is it for you right now?
5 to midnight.
Okay.
Oh, you see? Good time to end the live.
Yeah.
000, right? Yeah, Daniel said he likes how you feel.
Blessings. Appreciate you, Daniel. Yeah. Dan the man.
Yeah. Yeah, I love your both messages, you light the world and you light up hearts, and my heart is light up.
Much love.
Very much with all the words and the presence. That's a blessing. Thank you so much, Nabiha, Jerome, and Daniel, and Haruka, and everyone that's watching. Thank you very much. I love you.
Love you too, sis.
Boa noite.
Have a good night and sweet dreams. All right. Bye.